Life history of Sree Narayana Guru.
Absolute truth. What is the truth without pretending to be a disguise, and where is it? Buddha encourages us to accept it as it is and to face the purpose of life with courage. He said that honesty will bring us true happiness. Science. Buddhism has never had to give new interpretations to its tenets. Newly proved Shastra discoveries never contradict Buddha's principles, and the Buddha's teaching method is proved to be very Shastri. In any case, the Buddha's principles remain unchanged in their basic concepts. Human minds may sometimes fluctuate in understanding the value of Buddhism. Living the Buddha's principles in a corrupt society can be very difficult, but the value of Buddhist principles is not always appreciated in the minds of those with high cultural standards. Listen to the words of Albert Einstein, the famous Nobel laureate and mathematician of the 20th century. The religion of the future is the religion of the universe. Fantastic individual gods, unquestioned doctrines and theologies will be avoided. It will be a synthesis of the natural and the spiritual, in the light of all experiences, and a meaningful union of the natural and the spiritual. Buddhism gives an answer to this. If there is any religion that can go hand in hand with modern science, it is Buddhism. Great philosophy. In the words of mathematician, philosopher, writer, social critic and Nobel laureate Bertrand Russell, I accept Buddhism as one of the greatest religions in history. Buddhism is a combination of thought and science. Buddhism is a religion that teaches scientific truths. Buddhism is able to answer many of our most interesting questions by leading us to rational thinking. What is the mind? What is the body? Which is more important? Is the universe moving towards a goal? What is the position of man here? Does man have a good life? Such questions take us into many areas where science does not lead. Because science has many limitations, but Buddhism conquers the mind. Excellent psychology. The founder of analytical psychology and the first worker of modern psychology, Carl G. Look at Jung's comment, "We are very close to Buddhism." If you read Buddha's philosophy, you will understand that 2,500 years ago, Buddha understood many modern psychological problems and suggested solutions to all of them. As a student comparing religions, Buddhism is the most perfect religion. The doctrine of evolution, the doctrine of karma, and all other religions are preeminent in Buddhism. It was not the history of that religion or its philosophical study that drew me to Buddhism. Instead, I am interested in my profession as a doctor. My passion is treating mentally challenged patients. That's why I got to know the principles of Buddha, the great teacher who taught about humanity. Buddha's main principles are a chain of birth, old age, disease and death. Fearlessness. Buddha is a historical man who promoted rational faith against religious superstitions. Buddha tried to free people from the evil power of the priests. Buddha was also the first person to pave the way for freedom from religious hypocrisy and totalitarianism. Buddha is the person who gave importance to thought and said that fear should not be followed by anything. Universal compassion. Buddha's compassion is universal. He saw all living beings as equal, from the smallest to the largest. Buddha opined that all living beings have the same capacity to perceive emotions as we do. Non-violence. Buddhism has no place for war. The Buddha said, the successful give birth to others, and the losers live in sorrow. Whoever rejects success and failure lives happily and peacefully. Not only did the Buddha teach non-violence and peace, he was the only religious founder and prophet who went to the battlefield to prevent war. Human equality. The great Buddha was also the first person to speak out against the caste discrimination and hatred that existed in the society and class, and for diversity, freedom and equality. He encouraged social cooperation and active involvement of the people in all matters of society. According to the Buddha, all human beings should be measured by their character based on their moral values. Buddha said, "Go to all parts of the earth and spread this. Tell them that the poor and the afflicted, the rich and the high are all one. All castes unite in this religion, as rivers join the ocean." Gender equality. Buddha saw equal rights of men and women in all matters. Buddha gave equal representation and freedom in religious life. Women were given the freedom to join the monastic order founded by the Buddha. This was a great thing in those days. Democracy. Buddha was an advocate of democratic procedures and consultation. The monastic and nuns instituted by the Buddha gave each member freedom of personal opinion and freedom to express opinions on general matters. When important questions came up, they were discussed and decided in the style of parliamentary system that exists today. Buddha really encouraged people to protect and respect nature because man and nature are interrelated. Against animal sacrifice. The Buddha said that killing living things for one's selfish gain is cruelty. He did not accept it. Great wonder is not exploitative. Buddha said, the great miracle is the transformation of a person living without knowledge into knowledge. Buddha never tried to win followers by instilling blind faith by showing physical miracles he achieved. Sri Buddha's acquired physical and mental abilities were used to teach ethical living through compassion. No political abuse. Buddha was born into a Kshatriya family and lived as kings, queens and ministers. But his political influence was not used to teach the ideas he discovered. And his ideas were not misused by spreading them to become political force. However, to make all kings morally powerful. He was taught not to rule the country based on greed, but to give compassion and consideration to the people. Unforgiven. There is no unforgivable sin in Buddhism. Buddha said, all actions are done either consciously or unconsciously, efficiently or inefficiently. Therefore, if he realizes his mistake, there is always a possibility of correcting it in a good way. Great goal. Finding true happiness for oneself and others is a difficult task indeed. Because living according to Buddhist principles means living according to the great Ashtanga method. Buddhists do not like any form of intrusion. The right path to an honest happiness. The Buddha's principles are an interrelated study plan that is the great brotherhood of life. It touches every part of life. In ancient Buddhist scriptures, it is said that it is like 7 elephants placed one on top of the other. The Buddha spent 45 years teaching his teachings to remove sorrows and achieve true happiness. He asked thousands of his followers if they had any doubts about the principles I had mentioned 3 times before attaining nirvana. No one had any doubts. Happiness is in this life. Buddhism is not a religion for the rest of the world. By copying the Buddha's principles in this life, there is a positive change in this life itself. Buddhism emphasizes great happiness in this life. Buddhism proves that you can enjoy it. Everything is transparent. According to the Buddha, truth is something that is real and open to everyone's self-examination. When we learn about the Buddha and his teachings, we can see that everything is open to everyone. Some things may require specialized teachers to understand. However, there is nothing hidden in Buddhist principles.